Am I the a-hole for refusing to validate my wife's irrational fear? My wife and I have been together for over 10 years, and when we're driving together and I'm behind the wheel, sometimes she will shout, "Slow down," out of nowhere, and then say, "Why are you driving so fast?" in a critical tone, as if the way I'm driving is obviously unsafe. Usually I bite my tongue and slow down to placate her, but the thing is, the way I drive is not unsafe. Driving since '97, never got a ticket or in an accident. My wife is generally a good driver, but much less experienced than me in snow and on gravel roads, and by her own admission she has some lingering driving-related trauma. Yesterday she came home and told me that her car was making a rattling noise when she drove over bumps. We got into the car and I started driving down our driveway, which has plenty of bumps to hit, it's gravel and long, and I was driving slightly faster than usual to hit them hard to try to produce the sound she was talking about. Suddenly, my wife yelled, "Slow down. Why are you driving so fast?" I glanced at the speedometer and laughed, didn't slow down, shook my head and said something like, "Are you serious? What are you afraid of?" Her response was, "I'm afraid we'll skid out and go flying off a cliff." Since that was physically impossible, we were going 25 kilometers per hour, 15.5 miles per hour, and there was no cliff in sight. Let me remind you, we were on our driveway, the same one we have been driving up and down for the past 5 years. I think I laughed and said words to the effect that she was being irrational. Predictably, she got mad at me for not validating her feelings, and I told her I wasn't going to validate her irrational fear. She didn't ask me to let her out, so I kept driving and we survived the trip from the house to the road. Then we drove around for a while, listening to the car before going home, where my wife sulked for the rest of the evening. We argue very rarely, but today the driving thing came up. Again, I refused to validate her irrational fear. We both got as worked up as we ever do. We're pretty calm people, but voices were raised. I told her how it annoys me when she yells at me to slow down, that it's insulting, that her fear is like being afraid of monsters under the bed, and that maybe she needs therapy to get over it. She said I'm the one with the problem because I get annoyed when she yells at me in the car, and maybe I need therapy to work on ways to not be annoyed by it, and that I should simply do what she says in order to validate her feelings, the way you do for someone you love. Eventually we decided to end the discussion for the night because it wasn't going anywhere positive. She did her thing and I made a Reddit account to ask this question, am I the asshole? There's more to the story, but I hit the character limit, so I cut out a lot.